Hi there, I'm David Goddard from the Rising Phoenix Foundation, and I'm here to talk to you about spiritual ecology. Spiritual ecology is very important at this moment. We're all aware, due to work by such fine people as Sir David Attenborough, of the state that the planet is in at this moment. And of course, we should all do what we can to physically help with the condition. But first I want to bring us to some sense of the importance of it. In this solar system, planet Earth is the only planet where we find photosynthesis. In other words, a vegetable realm, flora, like around me, the trees and the bushes, each of them converting starlight from our sun into living, growing matter. In no other planet in this solar system or moon is there anything like this. As one scientist pointed out, there is more amazing things happening on planet Earth than there is in the outer planets. In laboratories, they can duplicate photosynthesis, but it requires enormously high temperatures to do it. And yet here, every tiny blade of grass, every leaf and every tree is a result of the conversion of sunlight into matter. Photosynthesis is in a certain sense the origin of human civilization. In the earliest stages, hunter-gatherers, our ancestors hunted animals for their food. It's only once it was discovered how to husband plants, the grasses later on specializing into wheat, that the great civilizations occurred. The Nile Valley of Egypt, maize in the New World. All this enabled mankind to become settled, to build cities, to develop culture and philosophy, to become what we would call now urbane, civilized. But now our civilization has become selfish and greedy. Our rapacious stripping of the Earth's resources now makes it enter into a critical balance. Now, I would go as far as to say that isn't really of much concern to the planet itself. As biologists and scientists have shown, the fossil record of this planet show that there have already been 5 mass extinctions, meaning when all the life forms on the planet were wiped out. And then for millions of years that nothing happened, and then life itself generated new life forms and a new age of life would occur. And if we're not careful, it's well known that we could well head for another mass extinction. If we can't control the way we eat and what we eat, if we can't control our breeding, if we can't control our sheer selfishness and the belief that somehow we are superior. And the trouble is, of course, with the psychology of modern advertising, it all comes down to that teenage view of, if I want it, I'm entitled to have it. It will only survive if we share and if we respect. And I would say, unless we come into accord with nature, not seeing as something to be trampled upon and used blindly, but to be respected and nurtured and to live in accord with it. And so I'm talking here about what you could call spiritual ecology. What do I mean by that? Well, physical ecology is what we're all being encouraged to do now, quite rightly, as I've said. Protecting the planet, looking after waste, controlling the spread of and respecting the environment. But spiritual ecology goes further. It's well known in psychological circles that the emotional signature, which is what promotes a way of acting, of thinking, of being, it's the emotional signature that affects the result. So any psychologist can tell you that if a person fears something strongly enough, they will attract the very thing they fear into their lives. If a person fears the disease more than anything else, they will attract that disease into their body. And at the moment, most ecological work is based upon fear. Fear of extinction, fear of, will we survive? Will there be anything left for our grandchildren? So how can we transmute that? There has to be an alchemical way in which we can bring about something better. And that's what I mean by spiritual ecology. In certain ancient societies, there were women and men who lived in accord with nature, who lived in respect and in communion with those subtle intelligences, those subtle beings who ensoul nature. And because they entered into friendship with them, the resulting emotional signature became one of mutual respect, of affection. We see this in some of the old cultures who lived in accord with the land, who followed its cycles and recognized themselves as being its part of one great circle of life. So if people can learn how to commune with and to cooperate with the spirits of nature, we become friends. Friendship, affection, replacing fear. And that's why in the book Restoring Eden, I've been sharing the ways in which I have learnt to do that from my own teachers so that others can do it too.